Hi, welcome to the Women Talk Construction podcast. We are so happy that you're listening to our podcast today. I'm here with Angela Gardner, my co host, and also we have a really special guest with us today, Melody Hackett. And before we get too far into it, I'm just going to list some things that I love about Melody and some pretty exciting things about today. So, today is Melody's birthday. She is a breast cancer survivor, she's a leader in the industry. 18 months ago, she created a program that we're going to talk about later that literally is making a huge difference in the building material industry. She was the vice president of Eagle Construction in Virginia, director of purchasing, purchasing manager, chair membership committee for the HBA. She's on the chair trade council now for the HBA in Richmond. She's an ambassador for She Built Foundation, and now, and of course, this is near and dear to my heart, she is the director of sales and business development for 84 Lumber Company. Welcome, Melody. And thank you so much for joining us. We know that you have a lot of great information that you want to share with our audience and with folks in our industry that are going to make our industry a better place. So thank you for joining us today. Just talk a little bit about what it feels like to be your birthday today.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It makes me feel old, the big 50.
Aw,
You're not.
you look, but it's the new 20 you keep telling me.
Yes, it is. It is the new 20. It is definitely the new 20. Thank y'all so much for having me.
We're so glad to have you here. Melody, is there anything in particular that you would like to just talk about regarding the builder program that you've started at the HBA where you're meeting once a month, a round table with executives in the building industry?
So, 18 months ago, I reached out to home builders to help me put together a team of 10 builders and someone on their executive team. And we would eat dinner and have a sponsor. That way we could meet new trades because I've really, I'm very, very interested in trade base and making sure that
Yeah.
they get their name out there. And it took off and it's been great. And then now we have another group. So now it's the top 17 builders. So the first group is 10. And well, actually, it's 27, and the next group is 17. So we have two dinners now, and they are sponsored. And we have text chains with all the builders so they can ask each other questions. And I think it's good for camaraderie. It's good for, other builders to talk to each other and get information.
Yeah, and it's really hard to do in our industry. We're so busy and we're like going 100 miles an hour, right? And it really does take somebody with a forward thinking mindset to be able to say, hey, you would be better if, you had these connections. And so that's awesome, Melody. I think I'd love to see more HBAs and PWBs, professional women in building, be able to do this around the country. So thanks for being a Kickstarter, right? A Kickstarter for this. But really and truthfully, we're so glad to have you here. I'm really glad that you're part of the 84 Lumber team. But we're going to get into a little bit of your story and where you came from and just, where you think the future is going for our industry. I think that's important for us women and men that are listening to our podcast to just hear your perspective on those things. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the business. Did you start? Was it in your family? Did you fall into it like I did? How did it go?
I had a part-time job when I was 15 at Lowe's.
Nice.
And I was working contractor sales and finer homes. They'd come through my line all the time and they offered me a job. So I started there in the summer at the age 15. And I was with Finer Homes for 20 years.
Wow.
Yes. So it was a
Very
family-owned
nice.
builder. Yep. It was a family-owned builder and it was nice. But then after 20 years, I just felt like I needed to spread my wings.
Yeah. Wow. 20 years. So at the age of 35, you decided to spread your wings, right?
I did.
That's amazing. Very
Yes, I
amazing.
did. Yes, I did. And then I went to be a receptionist at another builder and I was vice president within a year, and that was at Royal
Wow.
Dominion. Yes.
Very cool.
It sounds like, I mean, opportunities have just fallen in your lap because you're just spectacular at what you do.
I've been very lucky in my career over the years, and my last position as vice president of Eagle, I think I got really tired, and I was doing the same thing, and I was like, I just want to do something different. I want to make a difference somewhere else for women in the industry,
Yeah.
and that's why I decided, I took a little time off and thought about it, and 84 Lumber called me, and I was like, wow, why don't I try this?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds
That's
like
so
you love to
awesome.
grow, right? I mean, Christy, she
Yes.
loves growing and learning, and just like you, Christy.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 years ago when I took this role after being in construction sales for so long, I did the same thing, Melody. I just really wanted to make a difference for women in the industry in this last leg of my career. And I'm not that old, but I'm just calling it my last leg. But I just really wanted to make a difference too. So, Melody, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to take folks like all three of us to really make a difference in our industry and bring more women on and make them feel comfortable and make them feel like this is not something you can't do. We've always had that big, invisible wall, right? As far as women, feeling like they can get over it to get to the construction industry. And I feel like we've broken that wall down so that they feel comfortable being there. So thank you for that, Melody.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you're lifting. It sounds like you're empowering more than just women, men too, in their businesses, and really that's everyone. Even helping them find subs. Is that what trades? I mean, that's huge because they're so hard to find right now. Sometimes,
Yeah,
since
even builders that I sell to, they'll say, "Hey, do you know someone that does this or that?"
yeah,
So I don't mind connecting trades with other builders. I think, when I was at Eagle, I was in charge of over 300 trades between
wow.
here and Blacksburg. And they still reach out, if they're slow or they need work, and I just introduce them to, different builders.
Well, that's great. You have your built-in connections too,
Yeah.
right? So I guess then we kind of talked about why you left the building industry. We talked about that. Um, Tell us about your first month at 84 and how you've been welcomed by builders in Richmond. I want to hear about that.
So I was very apprehensive about how I would be viewed by builders. I was still Melody.
Yeah.
So I was very, very nervous. And of course, the store manager, Blake, has been so supportive. And we go into our first builder that on my first day. And, Blake would say, sometimes you just have to leave a card or you have to do this. Well, when we walked in the builder, the girls heard my voice. So everyone starts coming out hugging. And that's how it's been at every builder that I've been to. They've been so supportive and very curious. And I bring a different aspect to the table. I bring the purchasing side, the
Right.
builder side.
Yes.
So it's been wonderful for me on this side.
Well, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah. I mean, just being able to relate to them and what struggles they have is so,
Oh,
so
yeah.
incredibly important.
You've been on all sides.
Yeah. So when I do pricing, I always say, well, I used to like it like this, or maybe you could try it like this. Maybe just something different. I'm
Oh,
not a salesman, but I just think I just bring a different aspect to it.
Yeah.
oh,
I've always
yeah.
said that when I found out sales was just serving others, then it was easy for me. Like saying sales and I was going to do sales was not something that was going to happen. Like I was running the other direction. But when I found out all I had to do was just be there for the people, right? The people that needed me and help educate them or just find out. I loved finding out, analyzing what they needed and how to figure out how to make it happen, right? Like that was fun to me.
Yeah.
It was a challenge. And then it felt like, you're a hero, right? You're always a hero. You're making connections. You're developing their company by helping them with things they're challenged with. And that's awesome. But I do think women in general are going to be servants versus the whole salesy role part of it, right? We tend to just want to find the need and fill it. I do feel like that's kind of our MO. A lot of women in sales, I've talked to them, and they feel the same.
Yeah, because when I go to an appointment, it's not a heavy sale. It's actually me asking questions and seeing if it's a good fit. I mean, just seeing how we can help them, what we can do, like with custom builders, we can do turnkey things,
Yes.
just to make, their business run smoother. So every builder has a different need.
Yeah, and just listening, right? I mean, we hear it
Oh
all the
yeah.
time. If you listen to podcasts, leadership podcasts on sales, they'll tell you every time that's one of the first things that you have to do is just listen. And
Yeah.
And you'll find a
sometimes
solution, right? For it to
exactly.
help them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love to find solutions. It sounds like Melody does too. I know
Oh
Melody does
yeah.
too. So let's dive into something else. You're part of the PWB. You're an ambassador for the house that she built, which Angela and I love, and we promote
Yeah.
regularly on the podcast. And you're also helping with Habitat for Humanity. Those things obviously are very important to our industry, but how are they important to you?
Well, I would say, especially with Habitat, is being able to help someone that you actually know almost. So the Habitat house that we were doing, the woman that would be receiving the house was actually there. So that was a huge impact for me. And then I would also say, like in PWB, is women being introduced to other women in the industry, which could help them figure out a way to enter the industry. Because not everyone that attends is an actual builder
Right.
or in construction, but they're very curious. So those things, yeah, they really matter. And, being able to talk to other women and learn about what they do when they have challenges.
Yeah, and just to clarify to the listeners, PWB is Professional Women in Building. It's actually for women through the Home Builders Association, which I apologize. I'm good at saying all the acronyms, but then not explaining
Oh
it to
yeah,
the
yeah.
audience because we have so many across many countries. And HBA is the Home Builders Association, which is a national organization, and then the Professional Women in Building are part of the HBA. So, Melody, thank you for being a part of that.
Yeah.
It is a big, we actually do a lot with the HBA. Judy Donnell, she is the ambassador,
Yeah.
building ambassador for 84 Lumber Company. And we love being able to support the HBA. And of course, we love being able to support you too. So,
And Christy,
yeah,
one more thing, just to highlight, since we have a little bit of time for others, if you want to belong to a PWB, you have to check with your local HBA in order to check into it to see if they even have one. And if they don't, you might can start one, right?
right.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
you can be a part of the national, even if they don't
Okay, so
have
you
one.
can.
Yes, you
Okay.
can be a part of the
So
national.
there is, okay. All right, cool.
Yes.
I just want to
So,
make sure.
yeah, plug
Never
for
know, our listeners
PWB for
might
sure. Yes,
hear
yes.
this and
Because there's not enough of us. I mean, there's not enough
yeah.
women in our industry. So we really do need to stick together so that we can support each other and help each other get up that ladder if that's where you're headed. Maybe support each other in changing roles. So thanks for mentioning that, Angela. It's really important that women have a
Yeah.
place that they feel like they
These
can go.
organizations are so cool that we have like so many of them now. We
Yeah.
just need to shout out who they all
Yes,
are.
absolutely. Thanks for remembering that. So Melody, do you see more women entering the construction industry? Number one, and number two, there aren't very many of us, me and you, in construction sales, and especially in the building material industry, we don't see many. So just wondering, do you see more women coming into the industry as a whole? And then do you particularly see women coming into the sales portion of the construction industry in the future?
So, since I have been at 84, there have been a lot of women that reach out to me. asking how to get into this. And we were talking earlier, we just had a female MT manager in training start at 84 Lumber today,
Yay.
which is very, very exciting. Her name is Jessie. And, I've had a lot of women in sales that are asking me how to enter the 84 Lumber. And
Really?
what I'm doing right now is more of discovery, because they could maybe sit with someone, learn how to sell building material, because I was talking to Blake. I think the drive and the passion you can't teach, but
Right.
I'm pretty sure
Absolutely.
over time we could teach lumber, I would think.
Yes.
So it's just me learning how to turn someone into this role. With me only being in it 7 weeks now, I haven't quite mastered it, but I am working on it. So I have several women that are interested. But and I've dealt with a lot of people that come in sales for different distributors that have been females since I've been at
Yes.
84. So I was quite impressed with that. And I think, women, there are more entering the industry. There are. I see more now than I did see, I would say, 10 years ago.
So you see a positive outlook for the future.
I do. I
Good.
do. I think the funny part, though, is 30 years ago, we didn't know we were women in construction. We just knew we were
I know.
we were out here.
We just knew we were doing a job and we were the only one that looked like us, but we loved it and we wanted to keep moving forward, right? Agree, totally agree.
Yeah, in my younger days, I was in the field. I mean, I didn't frame a house, but I wasn't in an office all the time. But now, I'm older and I'm in an office more. But no, women should not be afraid to enter this industry. I would say most men are very, very welcoming,
They
very
are.
welcoming.
They are.
Did I answer both of your questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
you did. That was awesome. So, one of the things that you told me when, we reached out to each other, which was cool. I think Melody reached out to me first on LinkedIn and said, "Oh my gosh, I took a job for 84 Lumber Company." I was never so excited ever. So it was really cool just to see somebody of her caliber wanting to join our team. But one of the things that you told me when we actually got to talk on the phone is your stint with breast cancer. And you are a breast cancer survivor. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Just how it changed your mindset and how you wanted the future of your career to be. I wouldn't have thought. Obviously, my mother just actually recovered. She's a breast cancer survivor, and but she's 80 years old. It's a totally different scenario, right? She's got a career. Her mindset didn't change. But when you told me about your mindset change, do you mind telling the audience a little bit about how that changed for you and that was part of the reason you came to work for 84?
It is. So 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And right before my surgery, I had a mammogram, my yearly, and they found breast cancer. So I had both at the same time.
Wow.
A lot of treatments, a lot of surgeries. I was very, very sick for a while. And once I started feeling better, I just thought, I need to look out for me for a change. What makes me happy? What is less stressful to me? And I made a lot of changes in my life. And I did it for me. Is who I did it
Nice.
for.
What a great message for everyone. I
Do
think
it
women
for
in general.
yourself.
Yeah, I think women in general, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner when there's other needs of people, right? Our customers, our family, our husbands, whatever that happens to be. And a lot of times, even strangers take precedence over myself. And I've had to learn how to set some boundaries so that I don't end up sick. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. What a great journey. And aren't
Oh
you glad
yeah.
that you realized that, before it was too late, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
definitely.
what an impact that's going to make. I have one more question, if you don't mind. We are working on 20 minutes now, and we like to keep our podcast short so that our listeners want to hear and they get like good stuff and then they move on for their day. What would you tell a woman who's wanting to be in the construction industry? Let's say they want to join. Angela and I get this question a lot, from all the way from folks that work at McDonald's and are trying to work 3 jobs and, trying to feed their kids, all the way up to executives who run hotel companies. They're asking us, how do I start? Can you share just 1 or 2 little things that they can do that will just get them started on that journey of discovery? You mentioned that word earlier. That's what's so important, right? When you're looking for a new role, you and I both been there a few times, and discovery is important, right? Do I want this job? Am I qualified? Am I, even if I'm not qualified, I'm pretty smart. I can do it, right? Like just mention a couple of things that that those women might need to do to get started.
Well, so the women that reach out to me, normally I will invite them to something. Let's say it's a PWB happy hour.
Yeah.
Let them meet people, let them meet owners of other companies that could hire them. I say it's just getting out there, getting involved with home builders and just maybe asking, can I attend one thing? Just to see, how it feels to meet some new people. That would be a great start for someone.
Yes, perfect. And that is a lot of what Angela and I do. We invite folks
Yeah.
to go with us to places
That's
so they
great
don't feel
advice.
by themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Well, thank you, Melody, for joining
Yes.
us today. Is
Thank
there anything
you.
else that you want to share with the audience before we get off and before you tell everybody? Actually, you can share something that's important to you, maybe that you want to share, but also let folks know how to get a hold of Melody Hackett. You are the business development and sales for Virginia, Richmond, Virginia area, but I think it is the whole region, right? Am I correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the Mid-Atlantic. Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So just let our listeners know how to get a hold of you, how to do business with 84 if they're in your area, and maybe leave us with one tidbit of just something you'd really like to share with everyone.
Okay, the best way to get in touch with me, my email address is melody.hackett@84lumber.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. And I would say I'm going to leave you with a piece of advice. Being a woman in this industry, and I was saying earlier that men have been so good to me, but the whole time I think the only thing is we deserve a seat at the table. And just don't ever forget that. You deserve a seat at the table as well.
What a great way to end the podcast.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again for being
Thank
with
you.
us today.
Thank you.